I wanted to show you kind of the last big skill for you to successfully finish up your lab, and I hope that this is a good help for you just any time in the future. So, Google has a lot of powerful software in it, and the one I want to show you today is how to graph in Google Slides, or excuse me, Google Sheets, Google Sheets. So your homework of finishing this lab up is you need to create a graph of the data that you've made, and so you can do this by hand, and you're super familiar with graphing by hand in math class. But because your lab report is digital and it's also a like major life academic skill, I want to show you how easy it is to graph in Google Sheets. Okay, so first you can just go to sheets.google.com. Okay, go and click on that. All right, and then you will be taken to some kind of page where either all the Sheets documents that have been shared with you will show up, or you want to open a blank one. So let's open a new sheet. Okay. All right, first things first, we always like to label our sheets and make sure that it's saved in the right spot so we can find it again easily. So our lab is, you could call it water vapor lab, or some people called it water droplets lab. That's totally fine, okay? So, oops, and we should also tell ourselves what it is. It's the graph. We want to know exactly what it is. Okay, first things first, we need to label our table. So an Excel sheet is just a huge, huge data table. So like the ones that you drew, excuse me, let me scroll back here. Like the ones we drew in class, where we have like water temp on one axis, droplets at 5 minutes, droplets at 10, and droplets at 15. Then we put the water temp on the opposite axis. Some teams did droplets going this way and temp this way. It's all fine. This all together is called a table. And so in Sheets, this whole page here, this whole page is like a massive, massive table. Okay? So we need to just basically model the table that we have from here in our Google Sheet. So first of all, I'm going to put my, let's say, dependent variable across the top because that's just what my table looks like here. Okay, I got droplets at 5, at 10, and 15 on the top, so I'm going to do that here. Okay, droplets at 5 minutes. You can abbreviate, it's totally fine. Droplets at 10 minutes and droplets at 15 minutes. Okay? And if your formatting looks like this, you're like, oh, I can't totally read all the text. Here's a quick thing to do. Go to Format, Wrapping, click Wrap, and then it'll show you all the text inside of this. Is called a cell. Okay, this is a cell. Okay, we've got our dependent variable. Good job. It's labeled. Then we want to make sure we put our independent variable, the thing we changed as scientists. It's our water temp on the other axis. So some groups had cold first, some groups had room temp first. I'll just go room temperature, water, right? And then our other type is cold water, okay? All right, so right away, I've got our axes labeled. I am going to format my table a little bit so I can just see the lines neatly. Okay, we want all borders. Ta-da, look how pretty that is. All right, next is, let's move forward to, you've done your lab, you've been super successful, you're super awesome, and we've entered our data. So at room temp, there will be no water droplets of condensation on the outside. And then our cold water, in like the squares that I drew on your beakers today after school, you'll count the droplets inside of that. So I'm just making an estimation of what will probably happen tomorrow. So at 5 minutes, we see 2 droplets in the square. At 10 minutes, we see 4. And at 15 minutes, we actually see 7. So it's like droplets are forming even more quickly as time goes on. So we've got our table, which is good. But now we want to graph it. Okay, a graph is a picture. So the way that a picture is worth 1,000 words, a graph is definitely worth a bunch of, let's say, 1,000 cells of just numbers. So like these numbers, yeah, okay, I suppose you can interpret them. We read them and interpret, and that's part of our mathematical skills and our scientific reasoning skills. But a good scientist is a good communicator, and a communicator uses pictures. Pictures give us so much information about the context, the feeling, and the impact, the effect of information on whatever it is we're talking about. So graphs are basically mathematical and scientific pictures to quickly communicate otherwise very abstract, very dry pieces of data. All right, so how do we make a graph? Highlight your table, highlight all the cells in your table, and then go to Insert, Chart. Graph, chart, same. Okay, so you go to Insert, Chart. The other place that you can find this is there's a quick button. So I'm going to highlight again. You have to tell the computer which cells am I graphing, which exact data am I graphing. You can click on these little buttons over here, and then here's your Insert Chart quick button. Okay, so either's fine. It literally is the same thing. All right, highlight your data. Ms. Duncan's going to do it old school way. Insert chart, and look what happens. Ta-da! It auto-generates for me. It auto-generates the chart. How cool is that? I hope you exclaimed and maybe scared some of your family members as you're watching this video. So we have a beautiful graph right now. Here's the next big step that we need to make. We need to make a decision right now about what kind of chart, what kind of graph do we use. So we want to pick the one that best communicates our meaning to the audience, to our non-scientific audience, usually. So one way of communicating a number of droplets through time is a bar chart. So you can see that here's the number of droplets on the y-axis, and then the x-axis is our droplets through time. And you can clearly see it increases, right? That the room temperature water does nothing, right? The legend tells us it does nothing. We have no blue on here, and that the red, which is cold water, has more and more droplets forming through time. If we want to just show the basic amount of droplets in time, then a bar chart's pretty good. Bar charts are good for basic amount stuff. The other kind of graph that's most common is a line chart like this. So that's the one that you're used to in algebra when you do like your equations, like y equals 2x plus 1. That will be a line chart. Okay? A lot of your algebraic functions are line charts. So this is good because it shows how things are connected and progressively changing through time. Okay, there's a linear or a line-based relationship between the temperature of the water and the number of droplets that are forming through time. And again, it's a good chart because it's showing that the room temperature water is still not forming anything. This lab, it is fairly flexible where you could use a line chart where you can be like, the line chart shows that there is a linear relationship, or basically continuous relationship between cold water through time, cold glasses forming condensation at even intervals of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. This is a slightly false graph, so like I would advise it's okay. Like for a first time, I'd be like, this is okay, but this is not your best choice because it's saying that there's an even change. There's an even change of droplets through time, and we didn't test that. We didn't test the exact evenness of how often droplets form. We just checked in only at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But you know, if you chose a line chart, I'm not going to be like crazy about it. But when you get in the future and you're trying to decide what kind of graph do we make, the line chart is a slightly not good choice compared to the column chart, which just tells us that at 5 minutes, you know, this is the exact amount. At 10 minutes, this is the exact amount. At 15 minutes, this is the exact amount. But right now, we're just working on graphing. So you want to do a line chart, fine. You want to do a bar chart, fine. We will get into, in math and science, talking about making better graph/chart choices. Okay, so we've got our nice, beautiful graph. Now, what do? You take it here. So you can, play around. I should talk about this really quickly. You can play around a little bit with your like titles and legends, and it's in all of your menus here. Okay, under customize. Okay, here's one I want to highlight, is really important for us. It's our chart and axis titles. So right now it's a little generic. Right now we don't know hot and cold what. Okay, it's room temperature versus cold temperature water. Okay, it might seem a little overly specific, but that's important. So that was the whole big graph title. If you click here, then we can give it a subtitle if we want. Today we don't need it, but FYI, you can add a subtitle, and that's pretty cool. And now here's the one Miss Duncan's going to be like, definitely always do this. Because I know in math class when I was a student, we had to be crazy about this. Horizontal, this is like down here. Okay, horizontal side to side, horizontal axis title. We need one. So we are measuring droplets through time. Okay, we got to tell people, and we should tell them amount droplets through time. See how it just added this chart title for us? Pardon me, it added a horizontal axis title, and now our information is so much clearer. Our pictures so much better. The last one we need is our vertical axis title. Like, what is this? This is the amount of droplets. Droplets. Okay, so now everyone knows it's like 2 droplets, 4 droplets, 6 droplets, 8 droplets. Okay, so Miss Duncan really wants you to make sure that you give us a clear and nice chart title, graph title, and a good vertical or y-axis title, and a good horizontal or x-axis title. And then Google will do the legend making for you mostly. There will be a time that you might have to change this. That is a future problem. We don't need to worry about it. Okay, so this is a basic chart. Congratulations. You're like that much further along in becoming a totally awesome scientist and mathematician. So let's close this. And now the last step is, how do we get this into our lab? So you click on double buttons. If you're ever wondering, like, how do I this, how do I that, Google has formatted it where you look for the little triple button stack, and like here, triple button stack, you will get more choices. Okay, so triple button stack, and you want to copy the chart, and then let's go to, Miss Duncan is going to open up her template, her lab template. Okay, sorry, you're just seeing like all of my documents right now. I'm looking for my lab report template. And watch what I'm going to put in here under data. Okay, I'm going to double click, which on your Chromebook is 2 fingers on your trackpad. 2 fingers, and then I'm going to, paste. Okay, now check this out. It's asking you, how do you want to paste this chart? It says, do you want to link it to the spreadsheet? Yes. You want to link to a spreadsheet. Why, Miss Duncan? Great question, student with me in my room alone making this video with me. Because if you make any changes in this chart, in your table, excuse me, let me move this. If you you're writing your lab and you're like, oh shoot, we actually had the wrong data, and you make a small change here, guess what? This is going to automatically update if it's linked, if it's connected. If you paste unlinked, it won't be changed, and then you'll have to make sure that you basically manually by yourself copy the new chart. So generally, linked with spreadsheet. Hit paste, and look at that. My graph is now in my lab report. You see that? How cool is that, friends? Bada bing, bada boom. And then you can just click on it. You can make it smaller if you want so that the formatting's a little better. Oh my gosh, this looks like a totally awesome lab report. Okay? So that's how you make a bar chart or any kind of chart in Google Spreadsheets. Ms. Duncan loves spreadsheets because it makes your life so much easier. This is a huge, big computer for you. It will do math for you. It will graph for you. It will sort and interpret data for you. but you don't have to worry about that right now. But I'm just telling you, please learn to love spreadsheets because it helps you do your work faster. Okay? All right, friends. I hope that was really helpful to you. And go ahead and rewatch this, slow it down, use the captions. And definitely, if you're good with this, help your friends. Thank you so, so, so much.